Oompa-Loompa,
Welcome, new Oompas!
We are the Oompa.
Yes, whatever.
You said we could find gold here?
Join your brothers over there and get to work!
When do we get to remove the face paint and wigs? These things are very warm.
Oh! Who said you could do that? Get to work, Oompas!
Alright, Oompas, you have 15 minutes for lunch. Make sure you eat well so you can produce more delicious chocolate for Daddy.
So I said to my girlfriend, hey, have you seen the big stink?
Yeah, Oompa-Loompa. That guy's a real fucking Oompa. Oh, hi! Sorry, didn't see you there. What am I doing here? Well, Wonka thinks I must be his illegitimate son with one of the Oompas since I'm light-skinned. No, he actually hired me to make his movie. See, I'm a house Oompa. I have an office and everything. Wonka decided he wanted to make a movie showing how cool of a guy he was when he was younger and creating the company and everything. And he keeps badgering me. He wants me to get it right. Thing is, I don't know what to freaking do, guys. Cobra Loompa has got no path forward, in fact. See, the problem is Willy Wonka makes a horrible protagonist for a story. You can't sympathize with that guy. Have you seen him? Oh. The best kind of hooker is a dead hooker. One you've killed yourself. Zoe B has this really great video essay exploring the capitalist themes of the Wonka series.
Zoe B.
And in my opinion, having Wonka as this enigmatic figure that we don't really understand makes that angle so much more interesting. We know the relationship between Wonka and the Oompa-Loompas, which, if you didn't guess by this fun little work joke that I've been making with them, Wonka kidnapped these people from a village in Africa, from their home, and is forcing them to work here in his big evil factory for cocoa bean. But here's the thing, and I know what you're gonna say, it sounds crazy, but I'm a VTuber now that I'm animating this, if you want to call this shit animation, and therefore, I'm not real. And neither is Wonka! You don't actually know how our little world works. Maybe he's somehow achieved this aristocracy, honestly, and maybe the Oompas actually genuinely like being cocoa bean workers. We have to say that here. And to you, the idea that anyone can see this as a positive probably seemed crazy, but if you've watched the movie, I think most of us leave with a positive impression. It doesn't help that the Oompas are turned into little orange people instead of, Jesus fucking Christ. You can't even say that word anymore. Which made it even more hilarious when Grandpa Joe, was like speculating about what they might be before he saw them and said, there's no way they can be human. Little Tummy Tuck Charlie also ends up being the next Wonka, and it's treated as a good thing by the narrative. So like, what the hell? What are you supposed to think? Here's the thing. Wonka is a story with objectively bad, or at least objectively confusing morals. But Wonka's lack of a clear purpose makes this story more interesting. It's a reader's unbiased viewpiece into their own morality in regards to economics. For example, a hyper-capitalist or neoliberalist or libertarian might appreciate Wonka as a role model. I want to point out, I tried to research into libertarians just because I wanted to make absolutely sure that I had the correct idea of what their ideology was, specifically in regards to slavery.
Oompa-Loompas.
And I found this one Quora thread, and it told me everything I needed to know instantly.
Hoarding usually isn't typically a thing. It's really hard to corner a market without government intervention. When people have resources, they want to do one of two things with them. They want to consume them or they want to invest them, in which case there are benefits throughout society.
If you don't believe in hoarding resources, here's just a few examples. Martin Shkreli hiking prices on really cheap to make medicine. Companies hyperinflating the economy because we finally got livable wages post-COVID. But here, let's give like a more literal official example. Let's give an actual example of inflation. Because I found an article from the New York Times, written by acclaimed journalist Adam Davidson. And in the article, Davidson claims that Google has around 80 billion just sitting in random bank accounts and short-term investments. Davidson claims in this article that this trend of hoarding is probably because of all these corporations needing a rainy day fund for something big that they're anticipating. By the way, this article was written in 2016.
Hey, companies! Maybe if you start paying people, like, a living wage and you can charge more for shit. I know that's the rule of, like, economics or whatever, but, like, you don't, like...
Stop using my elevator!
I get it. You're legally a person, you're out, you're proud. You don't have to fucking do that. You already make enough money, you goddamn Christian-esque inflation fetishist.
That Quora board, so that wasn't even the dumbest thing. Another person said if another person is buying up all the goods, then the market will just work it out. You want to explain yourself, sir?
By work it out, I think what he means is that they'll keep hyperinflating until no one can afford anything, and then they'll have to lower the prices. Or maybe they won't even. I mean, they have enough money. They don't, like, have to keep selling shit for a bit. Maybe we'll just have, like, China-like conditions where we're all just, like, lower house. I don't know. I'm trying to think about. Maybe.
No. Go on. Fuckers.
Maybe we'll just, like, instead of not being able to buy houses, like, they'll just turn into Final Fantasy VII hell houses, and, like, we'll just have to deal with, you'll just have to live in those. Like, oh yeah, it's cheap, but, like, it'll fucking kill ya.
Remember the children he murders?
They suck.
But their sin is like greed, which is really funny. They're reaching into Daddy Wonka's pot. They are fucking children, Mr. Wonka. I don't know how to tell you that a 7-year-old doesn't deserve to be murdered because he wanted candy. You fucking freak. It kind of reminds me of the tactics Logan and Jake Paul use. Like, you are making these kids feel like shit because they don't have enough money. And it's weird. Like, that's the beauty of Wonka for me. He's a really great villain because yes, you Mark fucking scumbag, you have to decide if this is a fun little fairy tale or an exploration of the narcissistic manipulation that's inherent to maintaining elite status in a society with a system so heavily stacked against everyone but the elite.
Actually, none of you are correct. Willy Wonka is a drug dealer and drugs the children with his candy so they can do things like
he invited the children.
Nope, slope is too
Now, what could be interesting is if Hoarding Wonka wanted this to just be one movie in a series. Like how Zoe retells the different interpretations of the Willy Wonka backstory in her aforementioned video essay. We could have a sequence of movies that each tell a different way of how Wonka could have come up. And then we can leave the audience to decide which ones are real and which ones are either propaganda made by Wonka or hit pieces made by the ones who oppose him. But come on, that's not gonna happen. The sick fucks at the top that made the producers shit this thing out are never gonna let anything slide that artistically criticizes their position. Unless there's a really, really good promise for more capital. That's just me speculating, by the way. I don't actually know how any of these fucking boardrooms work. Now, alternatively, and much more interestingly, we could take inspiration from a great piece of art that already does this concept better than anyone else. That's right. I'm proud to present the focal piece for this video essay, the critically acclaimed Shadow the Hedgehog for PS2, which Mr. Wonka has in his game room for some reason. Just like how Shadow, now having lost his memory following his getting better from the big bad fall at the end of Sonic Adventure 2, has to go through several different scenarios of what kind of person he could become without the old version of himself. We could have Wonka go through several different paths to becoming the big powerful CEO. I remember a game dev textbook I read in high school saying that video games are the most powerful form of media because of their potential for narrative dynamism, as well as them literally placing players in the front seat of the protagonist. Like, you are emotionally linked to the story by default. And this is one of those unique cases where video games would work really, really well. We could have an evil Wonka, we could have a good Wonka, we could have Wonka kill Charlie's grandfather for creating him. Of course, we gotta have an android Wonka and his hot android sister. And he's like,
oh, can I bang her? She's my sister, but we're both robots. Like, if we have a kid, it's not going to.
And then Shadow's like,
that's weird, Will. She's your sister, man. Don't do it.
And Willy's like,
fine. You know what? I might as well say it then. I've been in love with you the whole time, Shadow.
And he's like,
I'm gonna do it.
And then Shadow's like,
don't.
And then they kiss and make love on the floor and on the toilet and everything's great. And Charlie comes in and he kills them both and he's the president of Wonka now. He paints his hair black and red and now he's Shadow too. Come here, Sonic. Woo!